Hi, this is Peggy with Natural Awakening Chicago Magazine, and I am so pleased today to be talking with Jacqueline Ruiz. Jacqueline is the founder of JJR Marketing in Naperville, Fig Factor Media Publishing, as well as the Fig Factor Foundation, and a million other things. She is an accomplished entrepreneur, very successful. She is a female pilot, and she was recently named Young Entrepreneur of the Year by National Association of Women Business Owners. So welcome, Jackie. It's a pleasure today.
Thank you. What a pleasure to land on this interview with you. I love what you do and I love your publication. I love everything you do to elevate women. So it's such an honor, such a treat.
Great. Well, you have such an amazing story, but maybe tell us a little bit about what you do in the Chicago area with JJR to get started.
You know, my biggest dream as a little girl, when I started reading books from Napoleon Hill and Dale Carnegie and Og Mandino and all these incredible authors, the classics, right? These books that really shaped, many communities. I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur in the land of dreams. So when I arrived in the United States and I didn't speak a word of English, I had no idea what type of business I was going to start. And at 23 years old, after I gave birth to my very first child, and after surviving cancer a couple of times and being told that I was probably not going to be able to have children, this miracle happened. And then I had this like amazing divine download, and that's when JJR Marketing was born. JJR Marketing is a full service marketing PR agency in the Chicagoland area. We have been operating since 2006, 15 years of serving, 15 years of commitment to our clients, magic, and really serving them as the extension of their marketing PR department. And then, Fig Factor Media came about 7 years ago when I was 31 years old as a way to respond to the incredible demand after I had published 7 of my own books. And I was becoming the Mother Teresa of book publishing advice. My husband said, I think you have something here because you are spending quite a lot of time giving people free advice on publishing books. And it's just something naturally that came to me. And, I consider myself a serial entrepreneur. I've developed from my initial book in 2010, another 24.
Wow.
Don't ask me how, but, in 12 years, 12 or 11 years, I should say, 25 books have been, published under my name.
So
And
what are
anthologies.
what are some of your favorite titles, Jackie, of the books that you have published?
Oh my God, every single one of them, of course, you leave a little bit of your heart in every single one of the books. But I have the little book of business secrets at work is the book that made me an author when I was 26 years old. After I cried for 2 months because I couldn't believe that I would be called an author, right? And then the Fig Factor, which is my memoir. I published that when I was 31 years old. And that was as a response to an organization that asked me for the book about my life to deliver 200 copies of a book that didn't exist for my keynote in front of 500 people. Living the Amazing was my 10th book and it was the first one that I did with my husband. And, Latinas in aviation. Today's Inspired Latina has captivated my heart. We're in 25 countries, soon to launch Volume 9, featuring over, 220 women around the world. So every single one of them, I mean, it's like I can name every single one of them because, a book is, it just takes part of you. So I'm honored.
Well, we were so happy to have an interview with you in our June issue called A Balanced Path to Success and Empowerment. And you talk a little bit about your approach, your philosophy in life of kind of having duality, of dealing with both the mundane, but being able to dream. Talk a little
Yes.
bit
Oh my
about
God. You know what? I have been kind of pondering this since I was a little girl. Why do some people achieve? Why do some people work so hard and never achieve anything? Why do some people work less hard and they achieve more? And as I pondered this question, I started thinking about this duality. And when I became a pilot, when I officially got my license, I started to realize that if I zoomed in to be on the ground, to prepare the aircraft, but that I didn't look up and zoom out to see where I was,
Mhm.
I would never be able to achieve something. So I started then pondering about this duality. So I then started thinking about the mundane. All of us have 24 hours, but what do we do with those 24 hours? Most of the tasks that we do are urgent matters for other people, and they become mundane. You don't transcend by washing the dishes, but you know that you need to get that done, right? So this juxtaposition of the mundane and the transcendence, right? And I think of every day, I think of how do I plant at least one more seed today so that I can transcend to tomorrow.
Mhm.
And then I read about this beautiful mythical story about two gods in Greece, in the Greek mythology, that talked about how one named Kronos basically ate his children, and they were called minutes. So that's where the word chronology comes from.
Okay.
Obviously they use the K. And then on the other side, there's this other god called Kairos. So while Chronos is about this chronological time that you never get back, Kairos is about timing, about finding the time of grace when
Mhm.
your knowledge, your connections, your everything that aligns beautifully. So transcending is about that, but you can't get there without the mundane. So that's how I started sort of analyzing this juxtaposition of the two areas, and it really brought me to perspective when I became a pilot, because I was able to zoom in and
Mhm.
then zoom out almost immediately. As soon as I raised the nose of the plane to take off, I was zooming out.
Yeah. Yeah. So for everybody who's just so busy juggling things, and now especially as we're coming into the next phase of the pandemic and many people are going back to the office and kids might be going back to school and events and now all these new changes. How do you suggest people juggle that between the tasks and what everybody wants them to do and some time for dreaming and looking at big picture?
Stephen Covey mentioned in one of his famous quotes, he said, a dream for you, your dream, your goal, your objective, or whatever you're trying to achieve is in the category, in the quadrant, where you see it's in the category of important, of a commitment, right? And the definition of a commitment is doing something that is important and not urgent. It's in that quadrant of important and not urgent, right? Which means that you have to be very intentional in carving out the space and looking at this amazing canvas of 24 hours that you get every single day and say, do I want to transcend today? And how am I going to do that?
Mhm.
Even if before you go to bed, you learn something, a little bit of something new, or you're learning a language and you put some, voices and, language, audios while you go to sleep, it'll be basically captured in your subconscious mind. So I would recommend that people take a moment to assess where they've been. I know in the pandemic, there's been a lot of losses. There's, financial, human, which is the most precious, and many others. Many people have lost hope, you know. So this is a beautiful time, even though we're in the middle of the year, it's a beautiful time to stop, to speed up, to stop and reflect and really, literally zoom out
Mhm.
and reflect on the last year and a half. What have I learned? How have I changed? How have I become a better version of me? And what have been the biggest challenges? And document it, because documenting allows you to grow exponentially. It becomes accelerators. Once you stop, then create a flight plan. I always say, when I plan an actual flight, I look at the pilot, which is me. How do I feel? Am I ready for this flight? Do I have to take this flight? Then I look at the aircraft. What kind of dream are you taking off on? And what type of checklist does that dream require? Third is the climate, the weather. What are the external circumstances? What are the things that are happening around me that I have no control of,
Yeah.
but I can control as a pilot and command my emotions? And finally, external circumstances. Is there anything else affecting my flight?
Mhm.
That I'm about to do? Is there anything else that I feel pressure that can basically, create a detrimental effect on my judgment when I need to act?
Yeah.
So that would be my biggest recommendation, and really regain that power of the pilot in command and say, for many months, I was strapped to a plane. That's how I felt.
Mm.
Even in my training, from the first time that I took the control of the plane, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm like wired to the plane. And then about 5 months into the training, a beautiful thing happened. I realized that the plane was an extension of me. And how beautiful was that feeling? I mean, I was like, wow, these wings are mine. So, in the same manner, as you're here on earth and as you're zooming out and zooming in on your dreams,
Mhm.
remember that you are the pilot in command, and that as long as you're able to combine and create a point zero of that duality of mundane and transcendence, of zooming in and zooming out, of the dreams and the strategic, of the words and the actions. And when there's that congruency, magic happens. And I think that's where magics, as I call it, magics times 10 takes place.
Fabulous. Well, that's just it makes perfect sense and it's logic, but it's something that it's hard to keep in mind. It's hard to keep focused on that bigger picture when you're caught in the day to day. Well, one of the many things you do is serve as a mentor, serve as inspiration, especially to young Latina women. How are you involved in that community, and how does flight pull into all of that?
Well, besides the fact that I've taken many of these young women up with me on the plane, and I've given about 3, 4 scholarships
Mhm.
for some of these women to become pilots, I always say that I have 2 natural children, and I have 189 adopted daughters,
Mhm.
ages 12 to 25. And over the last 7 years, I have dedicated a big part of my life to elevate their dreams. After probably interviewing over 500 young ladies in my different events and keynotes and asking them about their dreams. And every time that I did ask them about their dreams, they would come back with at least 3 reasons why they were not going to be able to achieve their dreams. And they would say, I have no support, I have no money, and I have no role models. So when the Fig Factor Foundation was born in 2014, its main mission that continues to today is to unleash the amazing and future Latina leaders, ages 12 to 25. And, um, and that's exactly that. How can we give them resources? How can we give them support? And how can we place them, aligning them with role models that look like them? And that's what I've been doing. Like I said, I've been spending, it's a lifestyle for me. I've taken many of these young Latinas around the world, to Belgium, Amsterdam, Paris, New York, to the New York Times several times. Um, just really, believing and making this part of my life, and, a lifestyle.
Right, right. And I'm sure you've just seen some amazing transformations in these young women.
Yes, and now a lot of them are getting older. They're getting married.
Mhm.
They're having children. Like, it is just the most beautiful thing, like seeing a flower blossom,
Mhm.
right before your eyes. And that to me is part of my transcendence every day. Every time I take a moment to coach someone and to respond to a young Latina right away that says, hey, Jackie, I have a question about this logo. What do you think? I'm starting a business. What is the best advice you can give me? Or even like, I fly with a teddy bear. Her name is Amelia, of course, like Amelia Earhart. And I have given away 800, no, actually now 975 teddy bears. And
Wow.
they are scattered around the world. Um, of course, the first time I got the first box of 100 teddy bears, my husband was like, are you nuts? Like, what is this?
Where are you
I
gonna
said,
put
I don't,
them?
I'm like, I got a divine download. I don't know. I call ideas with an amazing feeling a divine download. And that's how I'm able to identify.
Mhm.
And I'm a divine download hopper because I've been doing this for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's taken me to the most unbelievable places, around the world, to 4 continents, to the United Nations, to this, just because I surrender to these amazing divine downloads. And they're always aimed to serve and
Mhm.
aim to create something. And oftentimes I don't know where it's going to lead me, but it takes me, like, becoming a pilot was a divine download, and many other things that I can tell you about. But that's how I'm able to, understand how my brain is wired.
Yeah.
I'm a left and a right. brain and I combine them too because I have to enjoy flying. You can't be a pilot in command and take that huge responsibility of people's lives in your own hands if you're not passionate about it. But
Right.
you also have to be very pragmatic. I mean, you will see me as I'm flying the aircraft looking 180 degrees. You will see me looking at the cockpit. You will see that I keep the ball in the cage to have control flight, and I'm looking at 20 things at the same time, enjoying the view, but
Hmm.
always keeping the ball in the cage, and as we call it, and keeping the eye in the cockpit.
Yeah. So what's next for you? What are you looking forward to next?
I am alive, and that's a beautiful thing after surviving cancer a couple of times at the age of 21 and 23, after surviving a flight scare
Mm.
when I was by myself with my teddy bear last year. I am more alive and complete and in oneness than I've ever been.
Hmm.
I am looking forward to the everyday. I'm looking forward, and this makes me emotional. I'm just looking forward to, what I experience, the magic that I feel in my heart every day and the sense of urgency to serve, and just this beautiful antennas that have been activated in my heart to see people that need me and show up,
Hmm.
and I know, when you have a heart of service, everything else shows up, like I'm convinced. I'm not looking for big dreams and big achievements. I'm just looking to be alive and to always have this heart of service.
And to make a difference, which you definitely do, Jackie. So if people want to reach out to you and they want to help you with Fig Factor Foundation or find out more, what's the best way? What's the best way that people can help and that they can contact you?
Probably the best way is through my website, JackieCamacho.com, because you will see a lot of the crazy things that Pilotin is up to. You will see some of the brands and the products and even my own book club, with that, always with the intention of serving. And that probably be the best way because then you can connect through all the other platforms and little mini empire of inspiration that I've built over the last 15, 20 years of my
Mhm.
life. So thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you. This has been amazing. I think you and I could just keep talking for hours. We didn't even get into discussing sailing yet, so
I know. I know we have that, that commonality, right, of flying and sailing and how the wind, is such an amazing factor and how, you have to, be able to navigate through that. It's such
yeah.
a beautiful thing. That's one of the things I really enjoyed talking to you about, this parallels of that. And we're actually working with an author
Hmm.
that is a sailor as well. And, it's such a beautiful, interesting sport as well. So kudos to you for that.
Well, thank you. And kudos to you, Jackie. If you want to read more, you can go to our June issue in print or online at nachicago.com. And again, it's jackiecamacho.com, and we'll have that in the comment section for this video as well. Thanks so much, Jackie.
Thank you. Safe landings.
Woo!